Hey everybody, this is Perch, and I don't normally do this, but people kept sharing this article with me. It's old; it's from 2016, but they want to get my take on it because I don't know why. Anyway, this is from What Culture, which is a site I'm just going to be honest, I never visit. But anyway, this is a article: 13 truths comic book fans would never admit to themselves. All right, let's take a look. What are these truths? I used this picture in a video recently. The furry there in the background. Anyway, blah, blah, blah. Comic fans have never been completely honest with each other. And, what are some things that comic fans will never admit to themselves? All right, 13 things. Let's see. Number one, you write fan fiction. Okay, I don't know why there's a big dead image here, but that's fine. Is there anything worse than fan fiction? It's written by arrogant fans. And people are going on. Well, okay, so yeah, a lot of comic fans have fantasy booking in their minds, kind of to use a wrestling term. That definitely happens. That definitely is true. There is a lot of awful fanfic out there. The challenge is there's a lot of awful fanfic that gets printed as the actual fic. So, I mean, sure, I don't know that people won't admit this to themselves. Maybe in 2016 it was a little different, but I think a lot of people admit that they have ideas for stories in their head. Everybody thinks it's great. And everybody, I don't know. Chances are you've probably got a secret fanfiction.net account. I don't know. I doubt that. I don't think most comic fans do. I met lots of customers coming in the shop that all have their own ideas, but they're not writing them down and posting them here because they would think that was for nerds. Anyway, what's next? You buy comics just to complain. Yeah, okay. Yeah, that's true. Let's be honest. New 52 was totally true, where a lot of people bitched, but they bought those books a ton. It says lots of people swore and doubly swore they were done with both Marvel and DC unless Joe Quesada and Dan Didio were fired, but the numbers just don't prove it. That's true. That's true. Yes, comic books are they're not they're not in the glory days of what they used to be, but there's still a lot of people that buy them. The honest thing here is it's less. This is missing a little bit of the point. Like we've talked about, I don't think it's you buy comics just to complain. I think a lot of people complaining on social media and on the places we can see them aren't buying comics, but they aren't really indicative of anything either. Inside the comic shop, there are definitely people who complain, but it's different. There's a different tone to it. And usually the people are very aware that they're complaining and buying anyway because they want to complete their runs. But anyway. So there are probably plenty of people still buying the books every Wednesday and then jumping on the internet to complain about them. Yeah, I don't think so. I think many people complaining on the internet are not buying the books. They're reading them for free or not reading at all. And I think the people complaining on the internet are an insignificant amount of the actual comic buying audience. Now, it's not to say if you made all those people happy, which would be an impossible task, that suddenly the sales would boost up. But anyway. Oh, this one's true. Number 11, you couldn't care less about indie comics. It's true. So many people talk about how they love the indie scene and everything else, and then they will not give indie comics a chance. They stick with Marvel and DC. This is 100% true and painful. People do need. In fact, I've got some videos coming up talking about giving indie comics a chance, and people absolutely need to. But people stay in their Marvel and DC safe zone. They absolutely do. I wish people would actually buy the indie comics, particularly people who are frustrated with Marvel and DC. What else we got? You think some of the greatest comics are overrated. I mean, everybody kind of says that. It's a kind of nerdy way. The Dark Knight Returns is brilliant. Watchmen should be literature, blah, blah, blah. Okay, I don't even know what's going on here. Okay. There are so-called modern classics like Loeb Lee Run on Hush. I mean, okay. Or McNiven Miller Civil War. Interesting. Both of which are pretty highly overrated and mostly a product of a lot of hype and little substance. All right, I'm starting to detect that this writer has their own crazy bias that they won't admit to themselves. But yeah, I mean, some of the greatest comics that get reviewed are overrated. If we're talking about like what wins the Eisners, totally overrated for sure. All right, what do we got? You love second stringer heroes. All right, interesting. Everybody may rag on second string heroes. I don't think anybody does that. You may secretly snicker in public at Night Thrasher or Speedball, but how much you love these. Most people are pretty upfront with their love for Night Thrasher, for that matter. I don't think so. I don't think anybody's hiding they secretly they love second stringer heroes and they're secret about it. No, I don't think so. Most everybody has their favorites. Guys like Dr. Light. Okay, I mean. Sure. You won't buy books featuring second stringers. This is partially true. Gambit is a good one because Gambit had very low sales, and people love Gambit. But part of that, in fairness, is that they put creative teams that are not the top creative teams. This is where it's less about second stringers and more about the artists and the writers that are actually on these books. I think that if you put a good creative team on just about anything, it will go. But anyway, they're talking about maggot here for some reason. All right. Wait a minute. Hang on. I got to go back before we go this. I saw something insane here. Maggot. This happened with Maggot. One of the X-Men from the 90s was the subject of legions of hate mail, and after being killed after a long absence, forums suddenly erupted with support for the character. No, that's not true. All right. You will buy any book with Wolverine and or Spider-Man. Yeah, maybe not these two, but you got to throw Batman on this list. As much as people complain about Batman, they all buy Batman. Like, they're like, there's too many Batman comics, and I'll buy all the Batman. There is a significant amount of customers who still come into a shop and tell the retailer there, I want every appearance of Spider-Man, every appearance of Wolverine, every appearance of Batman, every appearance of the Joker, every appearance of Harley Quinn pulled for my box. Tons of people. And absolutely, that is true. You will watch bad comic movies. I mean, well, sure. These days, people watch anything. Is a safe bet every comic fan reading this seen Catwoman or Batman or Robin at least once? Yeah, and here's an interesting thing about this. Comic fans, as it turns out, it's a crazy thing I'm about to tell you. They're very loyal. They're loyal. And so it should be a sign of a good thing to the comic industry that fans are willing to put up with really terrible movies. And yet, because they love the industry so much. So maybe that's a little clue that, rather than kind of beating that love out of them, you can, anyway, feels like there's a little clue there. You have a soft spot for Adam West Batman. I mean, maybe. I do not. Cool. You probably even called your room the Batcave. I didn't do that either. I wanted to get laid. Anyway, okay. Batman. Sure. I didn't really ever care for Adam West as Batman. I respect the history of Adam West doing that, but I don't have that fond nostalgia for Adam West. I know several people do. It's true, several do, but not me. You love the 90s. Well, yeah. Love and hate. This is going to go into Spawn and Wildcats and X-Force and all this kind of stuff, Chromium covers, trading cards, and everything else. Yeah, a lot of people do love the 90s. A lot of people on this channel get really horny for the 90s consistently. That's fine. As I've done videos on this in the past, there's some great stuff in the 90s. There are some good comics, both these, and then also a lot of really cool indie comics. I mentioned Vertigo many times, came out in the 90s. A lot of good stuff did come out in the 90s. And the 90s was a pain in the ass for nearly tanking the industry. But, there's some good content out there. Number 3, you like scantily clad superheroines. I mean, true comic fans would never admit to themselves. Everybody admits this. Everybody. I mean, you secretly like scantily clad superhero. Hey, newsflash. I happen to notice that this image they make sure they get in here. This is not meant to dismiss the many legitimate arguments against either the treatment of female characters or their way of being drawn by artists. The costumes are objectively ridiculous, gravity-defying breasts, blah, 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 blah. That said, the costumes are not without their appeal to a segment of the... what a weird... this is one of those things, we're currently going through it as a society a little bit of this, men don't like looking at this stuff. Yes, they do. They do. And I mean, if you're going to try and solve that, you're not. I mean, you can do whatever you want. You can stop producing the material, but then that's just going to leave out business opportunities for others to produce that material. It turns out, boobs. They're what's for dinner. No, I mean, people like them. I don't know what to say. Even the most feminist-minded straight male will look at some of these costumes and probably thinks in a corner of his mind, yeah, that's kind of hot. What can we say? Guys are idiots and our bodies are built with a brain and a penis and only enough blood to operate. God damn. This writer, I don't know. Okay, maybe that's, you will buy any crossover. Yes, this is true. This is probably a truth people won't admit to themselves, is people bitch and bitch and bitch about events and then they make sure that they reserve all the issues in the shop. It's true. It would be nice if this did change, honestly, because it's gotten to be too much. But definitely it's true. It's a money-making gimmick that absolutely people buy into. All right, this is number 2. What's number 1? We're down at the end here. You that'd make a very different headline. You love Rob Liefeld. All right. I mean, some people do. And some people, look at this, he's a terrible artist and even a worse writer. And it's unbelievable he can still plague the comic industry after all these years. Goddamn. Tell us how you feel. The man who gave Captain America breasts. Huh. Damn. Okay, well, at least it redeems itself a little bit. Liefeld sells books, lots of books. Go to any convention, you'll see long lines of fans waiting to sign books. Yeah, it's true. Liefeld sells books. You know, I feel, I've said this before. As a fan of comics, I'm not a huge fan of his style. I'm not a huge fan. I don't like all the face work he does. Actually, this image kind of sums up. I don't like the way he does this. It's a personal preference. However, I like Rob Liefeld a lot. Why? Because he kept my shop in business several months. He sells comics, and anyone who wants to dismiss that he understands the market, he understands how to sell comics, you're mad if you're trying to make that argument. He pays the bills, yes. So he has fans, because it's highly unlikely those lines are composed of hipsters who like him ironically. Yeah, that is true. Okay, 13 truths comic fans that never admit to themselves. There you go. I did my take on this article from 2016. I feel like, once again, I've wasted your time. Anyway, what do you think? Are these truths that you would never admit to yourself? Are they crazy? Do you secretly like women in scantily clad costumes? If pass me a note under the table if you do. Don't reveal your secret. Just kind of slide it across the table. Like and subscribe, and thanks for listening.